What's up, class? Well, as we really briefly spoke about in our lesson after the benchmark last Wednesday, today we start our new unit, which is going to have a lot to do with weather. Now, to begin this unit, we're going to start today by discussing the water cycle. What's the water cycle, you ask? Well, have you ever wondered how the water that makes rain is created when it just pours in New Orleans? Or to where those huge puddles disappear after it storms? Well, what if I told you that the rain never really was created and water never really disappears? What if I told you that every raindrop George Washington ever felt and every drink of water every dinosaur ever took was still on this earth in some form? Crazy, right? Well, class, the reason this is the case is because of something called the water cycle, which is simply the cycle through which water goes on earth. This is from where rain, clouds, and even most of our weather on earth comes. Now, we said this cycle was 4 stages. So when we're talking about the stages today, we're going to begin with runoff. The runoff stage is simply the flow of water that comes from excess rain, or even meltwater, which is snow or ice melting into water, things like that. So simply what we picture as water on earth. Lakes, rivers, puddles, all of those things can be considered runoff. Now, in the second stage, this runoff water, such as that in lakes, oceans, puddles, goes through this process. This stage is called the evaporation stage. When this liquid is outdoors, its temperature can often change because of heat from the sun or solar radiation. As the heat from the sun makes this water warmer, the molecules start to move quicker. Now, molecules, class, are the smallest chemical unit. We all know that water is not alive, but just like the cell is the smallest unit of life, it's kind of the smallest unit for non-living things. So if the heat from this sun warms these water molecules enough, the molecules start to move so quickly that they actually turn into a gas and escape into the air. Well, that, class, is evaporation. Have you ever boiled water and seen the steam that comes off of it? That is water turning from a liquid into a gas and escaping into the air. Which is actually what evaporation is. Now, the third stage is what we call condensation. When the water that is turned into gas escapes into the air, it all begins to collect, which actually is what causes clouds. The farther away this water gets from the surface of the earth, and the more it hangs out up in the air, the colder it gets. Just as the warming of water causes its molecules to speed up, which turns it into a gas, the cooling of water causes its molecules to slow down, which eventually turns this gas or vapor back into a liquid form within the cloud. Have you ever seen how a water bottle, when outside, sometimes begins to look like it's almost sweating? Well, that exactly right there is condensation. Well, the fourth and the final stage is what we refer to as precipitation. As these vapors are turning into liquids in the cloud, they're taking up more and more space, and eventually must escape. Well, how does this happen? It rains. When the clouds release water in any form, such as rain, back to the earth, we call this precipitation. Now, precipitation happens a lot in New Orleans, but we usually picture it as rain, and it doesn't have to be. Precipitation is when water comes from the clouds in any form, meaning snow, hail, sleet, even dew, too.